Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. I have a special treat for you today. Right behind me is Anne Choi, and I'm going to do an interview with her that I think you'll love. Introduce yourself, please.
I'm Anne Choi.
Hello, Anne. And the name of your farm is?
Is Brook Fiberworks.
Excellent. Look who I found. It's Anne. I'm going to let Anne introduce herself. Anne, tell me about you. Who are you?
Hi, Mars.
Hi.
I'm Anne Choi. I raise Shetland sheep in New Jersey.
Excellent. Anne has hosted me and a few of our friends this weekend here at the farm. She's one of my favorite shepherdesses. Is that the right term? Mm-hmm. Shepherdess. And I know you all love it when I take you on virtual visits. So Anne and I are going to spend a little time chatting about some things that she's involved with. And I will insert some videos of this beautiful area so I can share her and her farm with you. We've got to talking a bit over the course of this wonderful weekend about something that's really important to Anne in this woolly world. And I wanted her to have a chance to share that with some of you. And I want her to introduce her farm to you from her perspective. So tell us a bit about where we are right now.
We're in Bedminster, New Jersey,
Mm-hmm.
which is in the central west section of New Jersey. I'm an hour outside of New York City, an hour and a half north of Philadelphia.
And your farm is called?
Brook Fiberworks.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you been here as a shepherd or as a farmer? How long have you been in this area?
I've had my sheep for coming on 4 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you feeling like a veteran yet?
Well, I've lambed for 2 seasons.
Oh.
I've birthed sheep. I've also buried sheep.
Mm.
So I do feel like I've come the full circle.
Yeah, definitely. And we had some time out in the yard. Sheep cuddles abound here. Anne's sheep, from my perspective as a visitor, are very friendly. Is that something that you kind of cultivate with your sheep?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My ewes, the moms are super friendly. So if I am buying sheep, I look for that. I look for that personality because I found that the personality does.
It transfers over.
It does. It
Yes.
does. The children do inherit that personality, and from the day that they're born, they're used to being handled.
Yeah. I noticed that. And you have some pasture area here. You've got some neighbors who also have animals. Do you find that this is a good area for what you intended in terms of raising the sheep?
Oh, it's great. And that community is actually what's made it possible. I have 2 friends across the street who raise sheep. They actually train sheepdogs. So they have flocks of sheep. So I know that in a pinch I can call them.
Oh, that's handy. Support is huge, I imagine, with undertaking caring for animals. And being somewhat new to the area, was that a big part of the decision, is sort of what's around you and what would be available to you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, excellent. So Brook Fiberworks, what are some of the things that you offer from the farm to the community?
Well, I have my sheep's fleece milled into yarn. Those are my vintage yarns. I use a small mill in Pennsylvania, and I blend my sheep's fleeces with fine fleeces that I buy locally, and I have that blended with other fibers like silk or ramie, mohair or alpaca.
It's delicious.
It's the yarn that I want to knit with.
Yes.
So that's what I make.
I love that. So you start from, as a knitter, you start from that perspective. Yes. When you think about the type of yarn you want to produce.
Yes, absolutely.
Love that.
And then I also have a remodeled barn that I use as a teaching studio. So I teach spinning, knitting, weaving,
Excellent.
sewing.
From traveling, I know that this area in particular, people kind of move between states quite often. So do you have folks coming from outside of New Jersey to visit the barn and to see what you have on offer?
Oh, sure. New York is a hub, certainly, and where I am, it's a nice break for people who are visiting the city.
Right. To come out and see open space, animals.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And when you decided to raise sheep, was the breed important to you in terms of what you would want to
The
produce?
breed was where I started.
Okay.
So I had looked at CVM, California Variegated Mutants.
Right.
Well, I knew from the beginning that I wanted a natural color flock.
Okay. Not so by that you mean something that you didn't have to dye in order to then sell it back, or?
Well, what's available in the market is predominantly white fleece.
Ah, I see.
Right. And since I was never going to be a large scale commercial producer, I could specialize in natural colored fleeces.
Excellent.
So that led me to looking at California Variegated Mutant. I looked at Southdown Baby Doll. And I actually ran into Deb Robson when she was in New Jersey several years ago, and I said, Deb, Deb wrote the Fleece and Fiber Source book.
Right.
She is the source of all
Bit of an
things
expert.
sheep breeds. Right.
Yes.
I said, Deb, what breed would you have? And she said Shetland.
Oh, that's genius to ask someone who has seen so many.
All the breeds.
And she recommended Shetland.
Yeah. Yep. So I visited farms, and the Shetland sheep that I met, they were the friendliest.
Which is something you wanted.
Yeah, they were personable. They're a small sheep, so it's a perfect scale for me.
Right.
Their tails are naturally short, so I don't need to dock tails.
Right.
Only the males have horns, so the ewes don't have horns.
Right.
And they're hardy.
I love that you were so considerate about the breed itself and then thinking about the properties you want in the yarn or the fleece, which is, a final product in and of itself. I think that's excellent. I've seen some of that friendliness. They are so easy to cuddle in terms of the feel of their wool on top of their personality. My experience just being with them, we put them to bed one night, which was a lot of fun, and then visiting them during the day. For someone like me who doesn't get to spend a lot of time around sheep, it made it really easy to want to be near them.
Hello, Max. Come say hello. Come on, Daphne. Come say hello. Come here, Astrid.
What's the name?
Astrid, Max, and Cleo.
Oh,
Daphne's all good.
So that's really cool. And you mentioned the barn space that you have. You're also a weaver. So you teach. You've taught other folks to weave. And do you use the barn space for that as well?
I do. I use the barn space. I also travel to teach.
Nice.
I'll be teaching at the Vermont Sheep and Wool Festival, and this summer I'll be at Harrisville Designs in New Hampshire.
I love it up here. It seems like there's a really big wool community, and that's from a hand knitter's perspective or spinner's perspective. What about the community for farmers and producers?
Well, I'm a trustee of the Garden State Sheep Breeders Association, and we host the Garden State Sheep and Wool Festival. This year I stepped down from the festival committee because I've been busy with a new project.
Oh, okay.
And that is, I founded a NJ Fibershed, which is an affiliate program of the National Fibershed organization based in California. And each affiliate program in the country has its own program that's specific goals and missions that are specific to that region.
Excellent. So for my viewers who might not know, or if that term is not familiar, what is a Fibershed?
Fibershed is your region's vertical system, textile system, from materials to labor to consumption.
Okay.
And that's what Fibershed as an organization is trying to nurture.
Excellent. So as an owner of sheep, as a purveyor of natural fibers and yarn, you have a space in that Fibershed. What would be some of the other components to that?
We're pulling in artisans in the area who source local materials.
Excellent.
Dyers, plant farmers who are growing natural dye plants, selling natural dye seedlings and seeds, and the public who want to support their backyard fiber industry.
So even as a consumer, I could consider myself part of that initiative.
I think it's a circle of production and use.
Gotcha. What made you decide to want to be part of launching that in this area?
Well, there was a discovery that kind of shocked me to my core, and it was talking to other sheep producers and finding out just how much fleece was being dumped in the woods. Dumped in the woods.
Unused, unprocessed,
unappreciated. Sheep have to be sheared. So if you raise sheep, you have to shear the fleece.
Right.
And if you don't know how, or if you don't have the startup capital to have that fleece processed, then the easiest thing to do is dump it in the woods.
Right. So before all of you come running up to the New Jersey area looking for fleece in the woods, because when I first heard that from Anne, it gives me a pain in my stomach to think of that being unused. But to your point, there needs to be a system in place for those who don't know that they can do something with it. Mm-hmm. So through Fibershed, how do you bridge that gap between sheep producers and folks who might want to do something with that fleece?
Well, our first initiative is to create a network, an online network.
Okay.
So if you go to njfibershed.com, we have a producer directory.
Okay.
It's an interactive map of the state with push pins, and you can click on it. And each farm, each of our producers and artisans are featured. So they have their own page where it lists their contact information and the services that they provide.
So that's about just linking people together, people who are looking for fiber or wool and people who have it available. And are there events or other things through Fibershed that the general public can participate?
Yes, I'm actually in the midst of planning a fiber farm market on May 30th. It will feature local fiber producers, local artisans. We'll have Deborah Robson coming. She'll be presenting a presentation called The Magic of Wool.
Oh my goodness. Mm-hmm. And she is already established as quite the expert. So that's a good place to start for, I imagine, both producers and consumers of fiber and wool. And I think for folks who maybe are wondering, is that accessible? Where will it take place? And what would you recommend if someone wanted to travel up here? How would you kind of shape that weekend maybe around the event for them?
Well, on Friday, May 29th, Deb will be teaching a spinning workshop.
Ooh.
Deb very rarely teaches on the East Coast.
Okay.
Her conferences are on the West Coast, in the islands off of Washington State. So we're thrilled to have her.
Right.
She'll be teaching an all-day spinning workshop on working with breed-specific fleeces.
Awesome.
In particular, the breeds that we have right here in New Jersey.
Oh, great. So you come and get the knowledge to spin, and then you'll have access to people who produce the material.
The farm market will feature farmers who don't have a platform to sell otherwise.
That's Saturday.
That's Saturday.
It's already a good twofer. Okay.
And, here at Fibershed, we really believe in the use of all different types of wool. Okay. So not just fine fleece.
Right.
We believe that wool has a use, and that's actually one of the most appealing things about Shetland sheep, that their fleece is not uniform from their neck to their britch, unlike other commercial breeds. So you would use, which for me as a smallholder, it's really valuable. I can use their finer neck fleece for shawls and scarves.
Right.
Their britch wool I'm actually gathering and saving to have woven into blankets. Something that would be harder wearing.
Yeah, very useful too. Even for someone who isn't a hand maker, to think about products that they could purchase for themselves or as gifts. That kind of opens up the market, it sounds like. So learn spinning and some great information from Deb on Friday, and then participate in the market on Saturday, and maybe Sunday eat at one of the local businesses, eat at one of the local restaurants. The food up here is amazing. That sounds like a good woolly weekend to me. And that is the 29th of May and 30th of May?
Yep. Deb's workshop is on Friday, May 29th.
Yes.
And the Fiber Farm Market is on May 30th.
Excellent. So in between now and then, because we're recording in January, what would you recommend folks who want to know more about Fibershed or even want to help with this effort that you've described? What would you recommend they do?
If you go to our website, you'll see, check out our producers and if you're in the state of New Jersey and you're a wool producer, then
Right.
please sign up as a producer. If you're an artisan working with locally sourced materials, please sign up as an artisan. And if you live elsewhere, you can join. You can join us and support us by joining as a community supporter. You'll get a carb magnet.
Oh, that's really cool. Okay.
Sorry.
There is swag. So for those of you outside of this area who still want to be a part of this very important effort,
If you join
Look
as
at
a
that.
community supporter, you'll have our thanks as well as a NJ Fibershed car magnet.
this is really cool. I'm going to hold this close. I really love the way that this represents a network, a community, something joined together.
And the community supporter, that membership actually gets you priority registration for classes such as Deb's workshop.
Excellent. Okay.
And other classes, because we do have educational seminars.
So this is an effort that's starting, but it's going to continue. There will be other opportunities going forward for folks to participate.
There are a lot of people who are farm curious in New Jersey.
Okay.
We have a lot of people, not that much land.
Ah, interesting. So for those who are farm curious, maybe looking to start their own production effort.
What I'm working on is a farm mentorship program where someone who might be interested in learning more about having a farm, raising livestock, can spend a day at a farm.
Oh, wow.
Really
That's
unique.
a good way to make an informed decision.
Right. Get some hands-on experience.
Yes.
Something that's really interesting about the farmers that I've met here in New Jersey is that we're all first-generation farmers.
Wow.
We've come to farming later in life. We're not from farms.
Right.
So we're really
right.
learning as we go along on our own, which is why it was really important for me to establish a network among ourselves to find out
Yes.
who's here, where do you get the best hay, what bed do you use.
Yeah, important things, but not things that people are coming to naturally from their own history.
Right.
So they have to reach out for resources.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm doing this on my own. Most of my friends are also on their own, raising their animals.
Right.
I would love to have a hand.
Right.
I'd love a hand to come help corral the sheep.
Sure. I think that's something that we as makers understand. A lot of what we do just feels better when it's done together. And then if you're going to make a big decision, a life change decision, like I think I want to move from my current way of living to now becoming a farmer or a shepherd, it's nice to know that there are people out there with the knowledge already looking to share that knowledge. I think that's great. You all know how I feel about community. So I commend you for taking that on. Is there a big team behind the New Jersey Fibershed?
Well, as a nonprofit, we do have a board of 3 members.
Nice.
Andrea Holliday is our other board member. She is a longtime raiser of goats and sheep.
Okay.
And Kirsten Katko, she's a fiber artist who loves working with natural fleeces and local fleeces.
I like that you have people involved already who are coming at it from slightly different angles. So you get those perspectives. And within the community, I think those of you who are willing to check this out and you're curious about it, you probably have something to offer, even if you haven't thought about it
We
yet.
welcome help.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell my viewers about what's coming up for Middlebrook Fiberworks and for the Fibershed?
Well, I'll be teaching at Harrisville in New Hampshire.
Harrisville Designs.
Harrisville Designs.
I love them.
I'll be teaching an introduction to tapestry weaving on Friday, June 12th, and a Beyond the Basics class on Saturday, June 13th.
That sounds amazing.
Those
I will make
registrations
sure.
are online this year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you can actually
Easy.
register online, and they're up right now.
Awesome. Okay, I'll make sure that I make that link available so that if you'd like to register for one or both of Anne's weaving classes with Harrisville, that you can do that. Excellent. So already some things coming up that you can interact directly with Anne, and if you're able to make any of that, ask her about the Fibershed. I will make sure to link you to the Fibershed. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you for
Mars.
hosting me. Thank you for this interview. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mars, for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. See you soon.